Hey everybody, this is Robbie with Robbie's Reptiles. Today I wanted to talk to you about some breeder insider secrets when it comes to getting your crested geckos to eat more of their food and to grow faster. First, we're going to be talking about a very simple one that I learned very early on in crested gecko breeding, and that's simply adding honey to their food. Now, it doesn't really matter which kind of brand you go with, but what does matter is that you're going to be using something that is, all that hippy dippy stuff, organic, grass-fed, all that stuff, local, raw, never processed or anything like that. You're going to want to get pretty much the most expensive honey that money can buy because it's just going to be sweeter. It's going to have more micronutrients for your crested geckos, and there's going to be added benefits like the bee pollen that's included in it and the general, how it's technically healthy for you to have the raw local honey because then you actually are immune to the pollen in the air when it comes to allergy season. I don't know, maybe that has some sort of benefit. But what's great about honey is that all of your crested geckos can eat it with absolutely no side effects. But again, for legal purposes, don't take everything that I'm saying for literally. I'm not a veterinarian. Do your own research and make your own decisions responsibly. However, I have been feeding every single one of my crested geckos honey with absolutely no side effects or downsides, and they all eat a ton of their food and grow very quickly. So that's the first way that I growth hack, life hack my crested geckos. Now, second is, let's say that you have a bunch of crested geckos, but they are super picky and won't eat crickets. They won't eat dubias. They won't eat bugs that you try to feed them. Well, there's actually a different way that you can try to get them that extra protein, and that is simply by adding more whey protein or dried egg whites to their food. We have them right here, and again, it's going to be a very similar situation. You're going to want to find the purest form of said product. So when it comes to the whey protein that I use a 100% grass-fed, organic, hippy-dippy. All the cows were blessed by and ordained by the Pope before they were milked and stuff. Anyway, it's just a really nice whey protein, flavorless of course. I add a scoop of this into my whole blender whenever I prepare my crested gecko diet. And I have noticed that there's absolutely no change in the amount of food that's actually eaten. So they're actually getting more protein, more bang for buck. They're gonna get a little bit bulkier. It's always bulking season for our crested geckos. And then another thing that you can add if you aren't comfortable with adding that is using egg white protein. You can use a lot less of it because it's pretty pure protein. And again, absolutely no downsides to feeding it to your crested geckos.
You guys are thinking, Robbie, you're just a guy on the internet. You aren't Pangea or Repashy and all these legitimate companies that do all this stuff. Adding stuff to the food might be unhealthy and it might be dangerous, blah, blah, blah.
Let me go ahead and read the first few ingredients to you. Pangea diet. Dried banana, dried apricot, Mikeller casein, which is a type of protein, whole dried egg, and then whey protein isolate. So all that you're simply doing is increasing the amount of protein that's in it. There is already whey protein isolate. And do we know what kind of quality whey protein isolate they're using? No, but I would like to think that it is something like this caliber. So if you guys want, and you want to do your own research.
Again, I'm not a veterinarian, all that stuff.
I add whey protein or dried egg whites to all of my food, including a giant heaping teaspoon of honey, so that the crested geckos have a much stronger feeding response and they enjoy the food much more. Higher caloric content for more bang for buck. It's just a great thing all around. But you're trying to go even a step further. You're trying to get your geckos to even bulk up faster. You want them to keep growing. You want to give them all the calcium they need, but they won't eat bugs. Tricks to getting all of my crested geckos to eat bugs on a regular basis. Sounds a little bit mean and it sounds a little bit messed up, but not really. They're kind of dead instantaneously. I think you know where I'm going with this. And that is because what I'll do is I raise either lobster roaches or I will raise up hornworms and then I will blend that into the food with them. I would assume that their death is instantaneous. If you guys are still too uncomfortable with blending roaches or blending these hornworms in a blender, I know it sounds really crazy, you can always euthanize them by freezing them so that they just go
night night and they go to sleep all peaceful.
Then they die in their sleep.
And then you can blend them. To me, that sounds a little bit more horrific to be frozen to death and then blended, but they're also bugs. They don't have souls and they aren't they can't think and stuff. I don't know. It's totally up to you. I'm probably gonna get canceled for this, but guys, I'm telling you, when I blend hornworms into the food, I get a 100% feeding response. Every single one of my geckos that I feed it to loves it and eats all of their food. And I've never had that much success with any sort of food or any sort of ingredient combination that I've used. So for me, hornworms are now my new staple. I add that in at least once a week to their feeding. So this has just been a handful of the tips that I have and that I've been using for the past few years. With my Crested Geckos, I was able to grow one of my geckos from 30 grams to 58 grams in less than 3 months. And that seems like a lot to me. And I wasn't at all overfeeding her or anything. She was being fed the standard diet. She cleaned her plate every single night. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe and all that YouTube mumbo jumbo. If you have any more questions when it comes to breeding tips, go ahead and comment them down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.